So I appreciate it. This is going to be, high-level conversation about some of the updates going on in Command over the next 2 weeks. Some have already been implemented. Some you're going to have choices on. So I wanted to go over them with you real quick and just see what questions you have so you can start making decisions for your business and your team and make sure that you guys are prepared with some of the changes that you guys have asked for that they've now implemented into Command. The first thing you might not know that they rolled out last week was listing alerts. So if you have any clients right now that are getting listing alerts from other sources, primarily, for example, maybe your multiple listing service, our listing alert feature is live in Command, and your clients can get listing alerts in 15 minutes. So every time a new listing hits, our system's updating every 15 minutes. We'll send them an email notification that a new listing matched their criteria that you set them up with in your consumer website. That feature is live now. I've been using it for a week. It works. It works perfectly. You can have them get a daily summary, a weekly summary, or every 15 minutes get an alert on new listings that work for them, whether it's in a town, a community, a zip code, multiple towns, multiple zip codes, et cetera, across the board. That will be live in our mobile app as well in about a week. So it's already live on the consumer website. It will be live on the mobile app where the alert will pop up on the app as well. So if you have not been sending your clients listing alerts from Command, I'd encourage you to get them on that now because you'll be able to see what they're looking at, what they received, what their favorites have been, things like that. Okay? Any questions about that? If you want to run a test like I did, it's create yourself as your own client on your consumer site and set up your own listing alert, see what happens. Right? That's the fastest way, is test yourself. Okay? Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, great. Cool. Thanks, Rosemary. Just want to make sure people are paying attention. Awesome. The next thing we want to talk about is some of the updates coming down in Command that just rolled out this week. So some of you guys may have seen this or might have not seen this, which is the ability to, I'm going to go in, Twilio integration has changed. And the Twilio integration now is this bottom integration system, which means any agent has a choice right now when they're new in the Command, which is get a local number right away. And before, they had to pay for a local number. There were additional charges for a local number. When someone logs on to Command and doesn't have Twilio connected, they will now automatically get assigned a local phone number, number one, off the top. All right? Number two, if you currently have a Twilio account, you can cancel your Twilio account and sign up for a new account. There's no charge and get a new local number. Or you can ask Twilio to port your old number to the new system. Your choice. If you port your number over to the new system, your Twilio will be down for about 24 hours. The reason why we made this move is it gives us better integration of the system, number one, and also better buying power for you guys so that we're able to have cheaper ways for you to reach your clients. So for example, a text is equal to 1 credit. An international text is equal to 2 credits, and multimedia text messaging, which means photos or a 5 megabyte attachment or a link inside your text message, is up to 3 credit charge. Okay. And feel free to stop if you have any questions or want to know more. This is the way you're going to be. Yes.
Steve, so is there a step-by-step? I already, I believe, have a Twilio account set up. What would I need to do to update it?
Do you have a local phone number?
Yes.
Okay, so you have 2 choices.
My number?
You can go to Twilio support and ask them to port your number to the new Command KW integration. It's support@twilio.com. And ask them to port your number over. That's all you need to do.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. And then you guys will be able to buy packages or plans for your credit. So you can see the small plan here says $3.16 a month for up to 300 credits. Now, just note really quickly on the credits, you don't have to buy the big plan. You can start small and phase up because whatever you don't use is good. It's going to roll over to the next month. So if I have a plan, which is the small plan, which is 300 credits, and I only use 100 of them in September, next month I'm going to have 300 and the 200 left over, and I'll have 500 credits for the month of October. Does that make sense? So it's a rollover plan automatically. And if you, for some reason, should happen to leave Keller Williams, they give you a credit back for any unused Twilio credits. So you will get your money back. So I always say start small and see what credits you use and what your plan looks like. And again, a text message reply back will also kick off a notification that you used a credit. So if you send out 100 and get 100 replies, that's 200 credits you used, okay? The other thing about this integration that's a big benefit to us is you'll be able to, if someone calls you from that text you sent them, forward that call right to your cell phone. So it won't go to a number that they don't know. It will go right back to your cell phone if you need to, okay? So, and as you're gonna see, this is a slow rollout. So more details are coming out, but this just started to go live for part of the country this week. And you probably saw an email about this happening already because they sent about 4 emails out starting in mid-August about this for you for this integration, okay? Any questions about that? Just real quick, comments, stories, jokes? Anyone?
No, but there's somebody waiting to come into the waiting room. Can you add them? You can actually make me co-host and I can handle all that.
Actually, I already added them, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. So again, the Twilio integration, you'll be able to forward phone calls to your cell phone, get replies back and forth from Twilio, and also be able to buy credits in bulk. Okay.
Steve, there's a question in the chat. Gloria is asking, do we have to reach out to Twilio when we sign up with Command?
In the new version that's coming out, when they finish the integration completely, you'll have a choice when you connect Twilio to pick a local phone number, and then it'll automatically make the connection for you, okay? So you don't have to go to Twilio support unless you already have a Twilio number and you want to port it over to the new version, okay? If you don't have a local Twilio number or you haven't used your local Twilio number, you can just sign up for a brand new number right now and they'll give you a new local number, okay?
I have a question. If you already have a number and you port it over, do you get the same features as the new account, or you're still really working in the old type of account?
Nope. It's just switching it from one system to the next. All the new features will work.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Great question.
The original system.
Next, guys, let's just talk about Teams real quick. So starting either right before or right after MegaCamp, we don't have a launch date yet. For Teams, the system is going to give you a choice as a rainmaker. And choice is going to be keep Command the way it is now, where I have a team version and a personal version. And there'll be a drop-down menu like there is right now in Command to switch between my different versions. If you've noticed, that drop-down is going to move to under your photo. It's not going to be on the top part of the page. Or go to a full team organization with a full team database, no more personal version for my team members. Okay? But here's the thing, Rainmakers, you have to make that choice. Once you make that choice, it takes about 24 hours for your database to either stay in the current version or go to the full team version. When your buyer's agents or team members log in, it will give them a notice that you switched to the new version, and they have to press accept. If they don't press accept, it will not allow them to log into the database, which means you should be having a conversation with your team of which version you want to go to. And I'm going to go through the 2 different versions right now in a second. But most people are going to be moving to the full team version where it's one database for the entire team versus the way we have it set up now is personal or team. And the person can toggle between either one. Because the biggest complaint we get from Rainmakers all the time is I do an open house. The buyer's agent went back to the office. The buyer's agent entered their contacts in their team version, in their personal version. How do I get it to the team version? Because those are team contacts, for example. Okay, that makes sense? Mm-hmm. So we expect most people to go into the team version. However, it's going to be your choice, and the Rainmaker has to make that choice. In the team database, you see we have tags and lead sources and smart plans. We have better lead routing features, all right? All of those things, including pie syncing back and forth, will go into the team version, all right? If you have a personal database now and a team database and you pick the team version, your team database will stay frozen in command and your contacts will be imported into the team version. Should your agent leave the team, those contacts will go back to that individual agent. Okay? Unless it's a team designated contact.
I have a question.
Yep.
I do business. I have a team, but I also do partner up with some things with other agents in the company
Right.
that are not members of my team.
Okay.
Can I kind of, so that's a problem sometimes because in command, we can't do things together.
Right.
So is there a way that I can somehow add them in, you know, on a.
No, you'll only be able to have duplicates. You'll have to have a version of the contact in your command and their command. Because if you go to the team version, you're going to the team version. It's the full team database. So you won't be able to share contacts unless they're in your organization as
Okay.
part of your team.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Steve, I have a question. So I'm assuming in addition to whatever database they had in their personal, then going forward, I'm assuming a workaround would be to tag anyone for their sphere, so that could then be imported out if they were to leave the team.
Again, if you have a personal version, we're going to put a tag on it automatically for you with some notification. They can tag it if they want. They could call it sphere of influence. When that comes into the new version, the team only version, it will have what's called a legacy tag. When they leave, those will pull out. Yep.
And then I guess going forward for any new sphere of influence that they might have that are coming into the database, we would tag those as well.
That's correct. Yep. So you can have, the other thing you can do, Rosemary, is have that, let's just say you owned the contact, even though they're on their sphere, and then you can have up to 2 different assignees. So for example, if I was on your team and it was assigned to me, but it's my sphere, but you owned it because it's part of the team org, and I leave, we can just pull everyone assigned to Stephen Gendel that's tagged as sphere of influence and have it show up in my new personal version, and I'm off your team now. Okay? Yeah. Yep. So permission levels have changed. There's 3 different permission levels. There's Rainmaker level, which is every Rainmaker will have unlimited permissions. There's everyone else will default to standard. And then there's a basic level permissions as well. Remember, just note that permission changes will be changed by the people who have unlimited access. So someone who has standard access will not have access to the full database unless someone gives them access to it. I'd only recommend your director of operations and Rainmaker have full unlimited access to your database. All right. You'll only see the options you have in the drop down now. And again, if you're on multiple teams, you could have different levels of permissions depending on your team organization role if you're across multiple teams. Okay. Again, this is where things change a little bit. See where it says here who owns the account and who owns the contact. So for example, Rosemary, this would be your name and I'm working for you on your team. So I've been assigned to this. I might have an admin, right? Owner may claim the contact when they leave the team. That's been added into the system now. Okay, that way if someone leaves, you can actually allow them to take their database with them. Okay. Assignee or who handles the account is who's working that account with me on the team. All right. So again, there can be multiple assignees, but one account owner, and the Rainmaker can have own the account, but then who's going to denote ownership if someone leaves the team later. Okay. And that's with all the tagging in there and built into the back end. That's all new fields that are being added. I see a question. No, I can't give out copies of these slides right now. I apologize, but I'm not allowed to give out copies at this point. All right. That's why it says not for distribution at the bottom. All right, we're allowing you guys to record, but this is internal only. This is going live in about a week or 2. So it's going to either be right before MegaCamp, which is next week, or right after MegaCamp. Okay.
Can you, I have a question.
Yep.
As far as the account and the account owner and how you're doing that. So for your team, your buyer's agent, at what point are they the account owner? Is it, it's if they're their friends, their family, that, but everybody from, the internet, everybody from open houses and all that is the Rainmakers? Is that how you're doing it?
That's how I'm setting it up that way for my team. So yes, that's
Mhm.
correct. So if my buyer's agent leaves me, I know which ones they own, even though they're under my team org. But you can do it either way. You could just say everything I've assigned to you that we've tagged as your sphere, you get to take with you. Everything that I've routed to you as a lead from the internet, those are mine, right? And I'd be able to know that by the tagging in the system. So I can do it either way. It's your choice. It gives us a lot more flexibility now than before to decide how I want to set it up for my team and what it's going to look like going forward. Okay. Because remember, what I would recommend, like Rosemary said, I would literally have, if I have a personal org right now with personal contacts in it, tag those as sphere of influence when they get merged in. But remember, my personal org doesn't go away, because if you leave my team, your personal org is going to turn on and all your contacts are going to still be in your personal organization. Okay. So we're just going to have to take them out of your current system. All right. Not necessarily delete them, but have them removed of the team system. But your personal database, if you have a personal organization of command, does not go away when we do the full team. We just keep a copy of it sitting there. So if you leave the team, we can turn it back on again. Okay. That's the biggest question we get all the time. What happens to someone who leaves my team? Their own database doesn't go away. We're still keeping it. Okay. It's there for them. Now, if they leave Keller Williams in its entirety, then you've got to take their database out. We have to delete their database. That's a whole different conversation. Okay. But that sometimes they just leave your team, but stay as a solo agent. All right. Again, there's the ability for you to enable, disable personal command. By the way, guys, just so you know, one important safety tip. Once you make a choice to go over to this new team organization, as I said, it takes about 24 hours to merge everything and bring everything over. If, for example, you don't like the new version, you want to go back, you can go back to the old version. So you can go back to the team and personal org. It'll just take about 24 hours for us to revert you back. All right. So don't think this is a forever decision. Think of it as, I made a decision and I'm going to run it for a month. If I, for some reason, don't like it, then I can go back to the other version. Okay.
Mhm.
So just know that there's a fail-safe in there in case you don't like the choices that are there. So again, scenario number one, no personal command, just a team database. All right. So if the Rainmaker turned off the agent's personal command, all core information stays, all non-core data will be removed. They maintain ownership of the contacts like we just discussed, okay? Even, and we'll be able to apply team tags and custom fields. The timeline will carry over, and we'll be able to see the agent owned and team assigned contacts. That's once we turn off personal command, okay? Make sense? I know this is a long slide to read, so I'm just not going to go forward too fast. This is if we get rid of it. And there was a question. If we have a listing and a team member has the buyer in the team system, will all forms combine into one file? No, they will not, because dual agency, you still need to have two separate opportunities under dual agency. Okay? That's a separate issue for compliance. I'm not touching that yet because that's not updating in this version. Okay? Again, in no personal command, they're going to have this login choice on command for teams. If the Rainmaker has turned off their personal command, they're going to require them to accept that the contacts are being merged into the team database. If they do not accept, they're going to be logged out until after they speak to their Rainmaker. All right, that's why you should be talking to your teams now about what you want to do. I'm going to recommend you go to the team version, but again, it's not a must-have. Okay. If you have the personal and team command, again, personal will have their own unlimited permissions, their own database, their own login. The contacts they own will be a separate database. In the team command, they'll be view only. They'll have non-core tags. All right, and you'll have to make sure they have the right permissions set up. You'll also be able to see assigned contacts. And again, they'll be from the drop-down menu. The drop down to being in the team version versus non-team version will be switched from where it is next to their name to underneath their name to get in there. Okay. Lead routing gets an update. We're going to be adding in round robin, send leads to agents in an ordered list. If the agent doesn't claim an allotted time, they'll be sent to the next agent automatically. and then assign the agent. So for example, if I run a campaign for this particular town or this particular listing, all those leads go to that particular agent. Right, those are two new features being added into the system, which to me is great on routing leads from a Facebook campaign to a Zillow. So Zillow leads, I want all my Zillow leads coming in to go to this one person on my team. I want all my leads from this system to go in and go to this team. Or again, first come, first serve, weighted random or random. Like right now, my system's set up for random, but I'm going to be going to round robin because I want to see how fast they claim the leads and how fast they're contacting the leads. So there's going to be a new lead sources page. Ability to use custom team sources for lead routing, and new team stats page where you're going to be saying how long it takes for someone to claim a lead, how long it takes them to contact the lead, how long it takes them to make an appointment with the lead, and their conversion rate. So that's all coming out with the new updates, okay?
I love all of this. That's great.
We've been asking for this for a while, Rosemary. So we started talking about this back in June, and we started seeing like screens about 3 weeks ago. So for example, it takes this person, you know, I've given them 28 leads. They claim 9. They've got 7 active. It took them 45 minutes to claim. It took them 32 minutes to call. Their appointment conversion and close. If you're doing any kind of accountability with your team, this is your accountability page. Because all you need to do is go to the team stats page or go into the opportunities they've created and see, so I gave you 20 leads. How come you only have 1 opportunity created? What's going on, right? So this is all built into a much more efficient team system. Question, go ahead.
Where are you getting the time to call and all that? Are you getting that? What?
No, repeat your question.
Where are you getting these numbers from? The claim time, the speed to the lead. So is this from having a meeting with your team and going over how fast they called, or is
well, remember in my world, if you called and put it, when I sent you a lead, my first rule is you call them within 5 minutes, which means your second thing you need to do is put a note in, called and left a message. If you're not doing that, I'm assuming you didn't call.
Okay.
That's like a minimum standard I have. You have 5 minutes to call that lead. And now I have some leeway in that system. There's a 10-minute leeway. Like I know you could be on a call and you could be typing the notes, but the system knows that not that you called, but that you left them a message. And if they're using like a Mac or they're using a PC with Windows, you know, a Skype phone, for example, they can call within command and command will know that they called, right? All they have to do is click the phone number. It'll record in here that they called them within 5 minutes, right?
What about those agents that are like on the road and want to do it from their phone? I guess when will the new app be out that it will?
I don't have an update on mobile command. What I can say is if you open a web browser and log in, you can do the same thing there as you could in the full version. So if I logged in, Eileen, with mobile command on a web browser and clicked the lead that was assigned to me because Kelly said you have a new lead and called them from the iPhone, it'll put a notification that I called them within 5 minutes. So I keep mobile command as a shortcut as an app, a shortcut app, and I just open that up on the road when I'm on the go.
Okay, because I know the functionality is limited, and I'm thinking most of the agents are on the road running around. So.
Right.
Right. So if they're on the road, Madeline, all they have to do is open mobile command, click the phone number, it'll dial.
But is that only on iPhone? You said with the Kelly? Is that only with the iPhone?
No, it can work on any phone. Nope. It can work on Android too.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve, we have another question in the chat.
Yep. In the team version, if someone registered from a buyer's agent's app, how does that show up? Who owns the lead? It would go to the team organization. It would be assigned to me, and it would be owned by the team. Okay. Good question. So a couple other things with teams and contacts. We're going to, again, have multiple assignees to a contact. There's assign and then there's share. Remember, share becomes share a copy. So there's almost like 2 mirror copies of the database. But again, it's sharing the same notes. All right. And a buyer's agent will only be able to work 500 contacts at a time. So you're not going to have access. If someone has a 50,000 person database, you're only going to see 500 based on your permission level at a time. You won't be able to see the entire database. And that's just for security purposes. Okay. Other things is teams and smart plans. Again, teams can send out smart plans, individuals, but I can also assign different smart plan tasks to different people. I can't do that today in the current version. So for example, you come to my open house and we put you on a buyer smart plan, an open house follow-up, and they get an automatic text from me that says, hey, thanks for visiting our open house. What did you think? But then the next text message is from Rosemary, because Rosemary actually sat the open house, and it's automatic because I have a smart plan follow-up for Rosemary when she does my open houses versus Eileen, who did my other open house. And then I assign Rosemary a task to call them. And then I have an email come out from Eileen a day later as the team administrator. And then Rosemary gets a reminder to call again. And then Rosemary's system automatically sends a text. All that's possible now with the team org. It's not possible today. Okay. So I'm allowing multiple steps in a multi-step smart plan follow-up to be assigned to different people, including reminding my admin to do something on the team and make sure that we're getting them the right marketing information. Okay. So all of these are part of the new system coming out. Okay. Questions? Comments, stories, jokes?
Question.
Yep. Madeline, you go first while you open the chat.
I'm just concerned, so going over from what we have right now to going over to this team version, it's literally taking all our contacts out and putting it in a new place. And now we're no longer going to have any of the tags or things that we have on it now. Is that correct?
No, your tags are going to come over. It's going to say legacy tag on it, and the current tags will come over. So your tags are not going to go away.
And has there been a lot of, has this happened many times where we know we're not going to have like a ton of issues with it like we did when we first brought over to Command?
All I can tell you is we've been testing this. So we first got worried about this in June. We were told this was going to go live in mid-August.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's now September, and we're not going live yet. Why? Because the testing isn't done to make sure these issues don't happen. And like, look, I'm going to show you guys something right now on my screen. Like, you're just gonna you're gonna laugh with what I'm going to show you, or maybe not. I don't know. This is the back end to a demo site that I have for Teams. So again, this doesn't have the new feature where it says this regional tech trainer team drop down is going to go underneath the photo here, correct? But I'm showing you this to show you guys what the permissions are going to look like. So if you want to see the team permissions, while I wait for my computer to get me there. Under general settings, there's a team management page that's going to be added. And it just kind of shows you the different permissions and levels and what's enabled and what's disabled if you have all team or not all team or standard or not on this level, right? But then I can add a person to my team, send it to my MCA so the MCA notes to add this person to my team so that Winmore does the right thing so they show up here. But I'm also able to see the permission levels here and see the full permission breakdowns of what I can assign someone to and what they can get. I'm telling you, most buyer's agents, if they're brand new, are going to go on standard. And if they're an advanced buyer's agent, I'm going to put them on enhanced. But I'm the only one getting unlimited to my database.
What's the difference between standard and enhanced?
Well, everything that's checked off is what a standard person has versus enhanced. So under contacts, a standard person can view the lead pool, right? And look at a contact. Enhanced, they can view all contacts, view contact details, view contact activity and nurture plans, change the owner of the contact, edit contact info, versus adding a contact, importing contacts. Like, there's certain limitations here.
Right.
Okay. Now, but I'll give you something else that like I'm asking for them to fix, because this is something that bothers me, and I think it would bother you guys. Do you see here how it has 3 choices on permission levels? Unlimited, enhanced, and standard. I said to these guys a month ago, now this is the demo version, you're not in the live version. I said, guys, unlimited should be the far right. Standard should be the far left. Standard should be green. Unlimited should be red. Caution, warning, right? So when I see unlimited, to me, green means go. That should be the far right. No one should see that but me. And that should be the last choice, correct?
Yeah.
Enhanced should be in the middle. So we got to flop these. So that in this demo version, they haven't even fixed that yet. But in the live version, I know we're going to be fixing that, because I was like, said to them, if I saw the word unlimited with 3 greens, I'm thinking green go, right? And changing everything. So little things like that. But I know they've been testing this out for a while to make sure that we have one of the biggest complaints, Madeline, was the tagging issue. And we said, you have to keep everyone's tags in there. You just spent 3 months, 6 months, whatever, tagging. We have to have legacy tags coming over. So that's one of the big questions. Okay. Matt, you had a question. Can you take yourself off mute? Because I don't understand your question in the chat window.
Before we were talking about calls being logged through Kelly or being logged into command, and if you call through command, it will log the call, but I don't believe that functionality works through the app currently.
Not through Kelly, no. If you log it through command mobile, it will. Because I've tested that feature out. Like if I'm on command mobile on the browser and I click the phone, it will log that I made a call. It's not through Kelly though. Guys, remember Kelly's just right now going away. It's going to be gone in 6 months. It's right now just a notification system to tell you that you have a lead, but everything else should be done in either command mobile or command itself. Okay. That makes sense, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah, but if I go through Kelly, it's not going to log anything. So yeah, good question. Thanks. And I do everything through command mobile.
An app, Steve?
What was that?
Is command mobile going to become an app?
I don't know whether it's going to be an app or a app that really brings you to a website. I'm not sure. They haven't given us a direct answer on that because I know they're still working on which was the best way to go on that and the best way to do it. I know that for them, Kelly's your notification engine, but just to send you notifications, they haven't said which way they're going, whether it's going to be a full app. My guess is it will be an app, but it'll start with a website first and then an app version second. So again, if you know how to make a shortcut on your phone to have that web page there, make a shortcut and have that pop open, because that's what I do to make it easier. What else, guys? That was like a real high level down and dirty view at the team system. But again, start sitting with your team now to discuss that in a week or two, we're going to make a decision and which way the decision is going to be, which is full team organization or team and personal. My recommendation is that most people are going to go to the full team version because it gives the rainmaker and the team more control over leads, lead routing, and which way the leads work in the system. But not everyone will. Madeline, you have a question?
Yeah, but we have time to do that. That's not something we have to do right away because I'm still concerned about bringing over all the contacts and going through what we went through last time. I kind of like when, you know, the kinks get worked out first. So this is not a decision that we have to make right then and then that's our decision, correct?
What's going to happen on one day is it's going to ask you as the rainmaker, possibly the week after MegaCamp. Okay, so that's 2 weeks from now. Madeline, which version do you want, A or B? You want the current way it's set up now, or do you want the teamwork, right? And you're gonna have to pick. Otherwise, your team members will not be able to log in. So it's gonna force every team member into a question, and then it's gonna make a decision for you based on your answer.
But if you say, okay, I'm gonna stick with the version I have for now, can't you at a later date change into the other?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Or if you go to the team org and 2 weeks from now, you say, nope, I want to go back, you can go back. Just note that whichever way you pick, there's about a 24-hour downtime to convert your data one way or the other. Okay? It's still going to ask you the question, though. The question is going to be, stick with what I have or go to the new version.
And Steve, you mentioned on the other call that the rainmakers should tell their agents to accept whatever they choose. Otherwise, they'll be blocked out, right?
Correct. They'll be logged out of the system until the rainmaker talks to them, then they log back in and they pick either accept or reject. Correct.
So when you make a decision, let your agent know and tell them to accept whatever it is that you choose.
Right. And tell them why you picked the decision you did, because they're just going to have to press accept and they're not going to know why. Because if you don't do that, that's where the challenge comes in. Okay. What other questions, guys?
Sorry. Again, are we going to have...
Should we just have like a bat phone like directly to my house? No, just kidding. I'm joking. Go ahead.
I actually would love to have that because that's how I'm feeling is like once this goes over, if we go ahead and choose that, I feel like I'm going to need somebody one-on-one to get through this. Like Eileen, is that going to be you or who? Yes?
Yes.
I mean, I only know what I'm going to know by then, but I can try and help you the best that I can, and I can reach out to Steve if I need more help.
Right. And we have a Slack channel where she can pop a message in, and all the market center tech trainers in the region all talk about this 24/7. So between Eileen reaching me and the Slack channel, there's a bunch of ways for us to communicate when issues come up, because you have to remember how many agents that are on a team or are teams in your market center. How many teams do you guys have in your market centers? 300? How many teams are there, Rosemary?
Not that many.
I would say that we probably have about 20 to 25 teams in the 3 market centers combined.
Okay, so this is going to affect the 20 to 25 rainmakers and then their team members beyond that, right? And as a region, we support, Eileen supports all the market centers, and I support the market center tech trainers, but there's 15,000 agents in our region that we all have to support. So this only affects the teams, thank goodness. This isn't across the board, because if you're not a team, you're not on this phone call, right? You have zero effect. So go ahead.
And what is your recommendation? So I just have a small team. I only have 1 buyer's agent. So, and a lot of people on this call may be the same, some are not. But in that case, what would you recommend? Would you go with going on the full-on version for growth in the future? Or do you feel like staying on where you're at is fine for now?
I personally, I have a small team also. I'm going to go to the full team version because I'm a control freak. And if anyone who met me, I don't come across like a control freak, but deep down, everything in my deepest, darkest soul wants me to control everything.
You do come over.
Yeah.
You come over as a control freak.
I'm in like a control. Yeah.
It also depends, like, do you allow Kristen to go out and do her own thing on some deals where you're not involved, or are you involved in every deal?
Right. Well,
it depends how your team's set up. So.
Correct. It depends on and how your opportunities are set up, etc. But I'm a control freak when it comes to certain things. Like, nothing drives me crazier than my buyer's agent went on a listing appointment and didn't do it the way I've told her to do it, and we didn't get the listing, and it drove me bonkers. Like, she missed a $2 million listing because she doesn't follow what I told her to follow. And I said, well, why wasn't I on that appointment? She goes, well, I didn't think I needed you. I'm like, but you didn't get the listing. Like, I am beside myself. Because she missed out on a $2 million listing. Like, I am a control freak beyond. And when it comes to listings, I am the ultimate control freak. Like, it's my way or we don't go on the appointment. Like, that's very clear. So, yeah.
Okay.
What else, guys? You get to see the dark side of me come out now when it comes to that kind of stuff, because that's the stuff that just makes me losing out on business that you should get because you don't follow a system. Drives me crazy.
Another question I have is, how much notice will we have? Like, will it be, okay, tomorrow morning you wake up, you got to make a decision? Like, will they have a couple of days to know?
You'll start getting emails, kind of like the Twilio integration emails that started to come out about 2 weeks ago, about a week before, and you'll start getting emails. Now, again, we know most people don't read emails. So
exactly.
The average person gets 200 emails a day. We know it takes the average person 2 weeks to read all their emails. So expect an email. We know you're not going to read it. Don't get mad at us when you don't. I'm saying that in full disclosure on the call. Don't yell at Eileen. Don't yell at Lori. Don't yell at Rosemary. Don't yell at Anna. Don't yell at any of your team leaders. Don't yell at Christina. Don't yell at anyone. All right? Like, you've been warned. That's why you're on this call, right? That you're going to get a notification, and then you're going to wake up and it'll give you a choice. And then you're going to run to Eileen and go, no one told me this. Right? And the high Ds, by the way, love that answer. I didn't know, it's your fault. That's a high D answer. Like, and most rainmakers are high Ds. Sorry, that's just the nature of the business. It's not a bad thing. I just understand the behavior. So understand it's no one's fault on this call. Just be prepared. And Eileen will be prepared for the answer. And she's going to say, oh, you didn't see the email? You weren't at MegaCamp? You didn't, right? Because this is all going to be part of this. Okay? Yeah. Sorry I come across with my D coming out, but I know what's going to happen because it's already happening in my market center. So I can imagine what's going to happen in yours, Rosemary. Like, I get it.
Yeah. And Steve, are they going to be talking more about this at MegaCamp as well?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody hopefully is signed up for MegaCamp,
Yep.
so you can get some more information there too.
And that's why they didn't tell us whether they're going to launch it before or after. We don't know whether. My guess it'll be after, because if we try to launch it before, the tech support questions are going to be overloading and we're all going to be focused on MegaCamp. So my guess is going to be the week after, but we're just preparing for it regardless. Yeah. What else, guys? What other questions? Comments, stories, jokes?
So what would you say is our first step right now that we should be doing to prepare for this, besides talking to our team? I know you mentioned before too about the Twilio number. Is
Yep.
this going through that? Because I got on a few minutes late. I was at an appointment. So would you say that's
Twilio's two separate things.
two separate
So,
things?
yeah,
Okay.
two separate things. I would really talk to my team and find out what I want to do for my team and for the business. What do I really want to do? And what does that decision look like? And then which way do I want to go? I'm going to lean you towards the team org version. I think it gives the rainmaker and the admin on the team more control over leads, lead routing, and follow-up.
But if it's the decision, is there anything else we can be doing to prepare?
Just make sure your tags are set up the way you want them. Make sure your database is tagged appropriately and your team members' database is tagged appropriately. That way you can automatically know which way you're going to go. If their database is in their personal org but not tagged appropriately, or there are no tags, then that's kind of crazy, because then you're automatically wasting time right now trying to tag stuff.
Well, what do you mean tagged appropriately? What does that mean?
Well, I want everyone who my buyer's agent met at an open house to be tagged a certain way. Do you have a standard for tagging? Sphere of influence, open house, 14 Elliott Place, and this day. Like, I have a certain way of tagging, right? So when I import data from some of the data sources that I'm using, I want them tagged a certain way so we all know what does that tag mean. I think if you're using a personal version and you still have the team version, though you might have tags in your personal version, are those tags appropriate, set up properly, and is your database properly tagged?
So that's really the first step, is we need to go into those tags and make sure that those tags are the way that we want them as a team. That would be, okay.
And in their personal version that's live now, are their tag, because remember, you don't see their personal version as a rainmaker. Is their personal version tag set up appropriately? Because remember, if I'm going to the full team version, their personal goes away and that gets all imported into mine, but their tags are coming over. So, right, what do those tags look like?
And also we have, if a buyer's agent puts something in and tags it with like a location, or I tag it, when it gets assigned to them, they can't sort by my tag in Rosemary's account.
Right.
So now they'll be able to sort by whatever tag I put on.
Correct. So for example, like if Matt's a buyer's agent on my team, but Matt's got his sphere, I would want his tag to say Matt's sphere of influence or Matt's SOI. So I know when we import it, that's Matt's SOI, right? So those are the conversations I'd be having now to get ready for this. Yep. Like, you'll laugh. I'm going to go back, you know, like 20 years ago when I had a buyer's agent and we joined forces. I said, look, everyone you import into our team database, we're just going to star. There were no tags back then on a different system we were using. We put an asterisk next to every single person in the database at the end of their name to make sure we knew those were her contacts when she left the team. I mean, that was the first version of tagging. It'd be so much easier to tag them now. So, yep.
So Steve, what about all your contacts from 20 years ago? What are they tagged?
Sphere of influence, or my new data source that I'm pulling in right now. I'm running a test to see about how to get seller leads for less money. So those get imported with a certain tag. August 2020 data, potential sellers, July 2020 potential sellers into the system. But so everyone's either a past client or a sphere of influence is most of my most popular tags in the system, or an open house and the data of that open house for the property. Those are what the tags are.
But to differentiate those sphere of influence from your buyer's agent sphere of influence, is it SG, SOI,
yeah.
or?
Yeah, it's SG or my you know, I have a weird some challenges that, you know, my mom's on my team and my wife, and my mom's Ellen Gendel and my wife's Erica Gendel. So I can't do EG SOI because that's two of them. So I just put mom's SOI just to make it easier, because she's only been doing this since 1982. She's only got like 1 or 2 more years left before she wants to keep knocking heads on listing appointments. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. I think I've talked her out of doing any more listings. So we're almost there.
would you be comfortable sending us a list of some of your tags that you use? Do you have like a list that you do?
It's embedded in command. Let me see if I can share my screen with you guys real quick. Hold on one second.
And Madeline, I'm happy to also talk to you about tags with Eileen, the tags that we're using in ours too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's kind of personal. Like you can get ideas from other people. I
Right.
have something from Facebook, but it's like really what makes you comfortable and how you want to organize. Yeah.
Right. It's really how, it's all about how your team what you want to set it up. I mean, most veteran agents should have a very big sphere of influence and past client database, which is where you get most of your business from. But at the same token, I'm just trying to go into my settings right now while we're talking. Not everyone does or hasn't tagged them in a database in the past. We're so focused on new leads, we forget about our past clients. So I'm just taking.
One more. Your
Peek while we're chatting.
your slide said that the buyer's tags and custom tags would not come over, but you said that they will. So that's
That's an update. We fought hard for that.
okay.
It was very important to us that I'll show you my screen. It was really important for us that the old tags came over, and when we all saw that on the screen, we all flipped out. All being, there's how many regions in Keller Williams, Rosemary? 41. How many? 30. I don't know how many regions there are. There's like 37 regions. There was 40 of us on a call as regional tech trainers, and we all lost it when we saw that and started screaming at them. And within a day, they said, "Okay, we found a way to bring the legacy tags over." We're like, "Good," because I can't imagine someone like me who's got a ton of tags, and now you gave me this new version and they're all gone, right? Like we all said, you're about to cause hell for all of us and make your life in Texas that much more difficult, where you're just going to give fuel to the fire to everyone say, "See, command doesn't work, it never will," right? So don't you dare update to this new version and not bring over our old tags. Okay, so yeah, I'll share my screen with you real quick though, because I pulled up my tags. So some of these are built into the system. Some of them are, we've created 39 different tags, downline tags, KW agent, etc. But we also have created our own tags. I have 441 contacts on street text, who came to this open house, who clicked on this ad, etc.
Okay.
Okay. 2020 seller, 2020 buyer, etc. So.
No, I just think it's important for everyone to see that, me included, because I think that it's easy to get stuck on that. But those you could do obviously multiple tags. So they're going to
Sure.
have,
Yeah.
So
You can have a person on multiple tags, no question. Yep. Yeah, just like you're going to assign in the new team version, you can assign a contact to two people. Madeline owns it, your buyer's agent has assigned to it, and your admin is assigned to it as a secondary, right? For follow-up. You can do all that in the new system, in the teamwork system, which is why it's important to look at all those choices and see what's going to work for you. Yep. So
thank you.
I've got a crazy question for you guys. I know you guys all spend a lot of money on buyer lead generation, whether it's Zillow leads or something. What would you pay for seller leads? Like, and I'm talking quality seller leads, not quality seller leads. I'm just curious. What would you pay?
Greg, what would you pay for a quality seller lead?
Yeah.
Greg
What
Miller.
would you pay for
You've
quality
done
seller
Zillow,
leads?
you've gotten a lot of leads.
I'm dying to know, because I see people spend so much on Zillow, and the average cost per lead for Zillow is about $150 to $200 per lead. Now, some people say those are quality, so that's good, but I'm just curious.
I'm gonna have to give them a referral fee if it pans out. You're talking about a monthly fee or yearly fee?
Yeah, monthly.
Referral
What would you
fee?
pay a month for seller leads?
Um,
Because here's the thing, no one's
I mean,
been
if
able to figure that
they're
out.
good seller leads, I'd you're getting them, they'd be worth, you know, you're giving other people 25%, 30%. I don't know. I
So
never
like,
paid.
like
never
Greg,
paid
I'll give you an
so-
example. So I'll narrow it down. So Greg, there's a data source I'm using right now that sends me about 500 leads a month, potential sellers. And what we've determined is 2% of those are going to sell in a month, and that's 10 potential listings. So what would you pay for 10 listing appointments versus 10 buyer leads?
A lot more.
A lot more, yeah.
Like a lot more.
How much is a lot more? Like would you pay 5,000 a month?
No,
For 10 seller leads, good.
I don't
Lord.
know. We can be. Oh.
I wouldn't pay 5,000 a month.
I was gonna say 1,000.
Maybe.
1,000.
But remember, people are paying more for that for Zillow. They're paying 3,000 a month for Zillow.
Yeah,
That's true.
Wait, over 1,000 a month for Zillow. Oh.
I got an agent in my office paying 3,200 a month for Zillow leads. Boy, I stirred the pot on this one, Rosemary. Right?
Where do we sign up?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, what would you pay?
Does
Yeah.
who offers the most right now get them?
3,000?
Yeah.
Matt, what was that?
Greg said
I
3,000.
said, does whoever says the highest number right now, is that who gets them?
No. I don't have any for your area yet. I could get them tomorrow if I wanted to. I mean, that's like, you know, I'm running a test in my area, and I'm trying to like figure out what's the best cost to put it all together. So no one on this call is lazy, but we also know that the model's broken because Zillow and the other online services sold 128 million leads last year, and we still sold 5 million homes, correct? Yes. So if we sold 120, Matt Gibbs is nodding his head. So if we sold 128 million leads in this country, but sold 5 million homes, that means most realtors are doing nothing with them. Yes.
Yeah.
And we also know that no one's been able to crack the code on getting seller leads. Yes. No one's been able to go right. So I'm a big like predictive analytics, artificial intelligence kind of guy. That's where my brain goes into how to leverage predictive analytics and figure out who's moving before they move and get in front of them. So I'm testing a system now where I'm putting together, getting the data, writing them a letter, following up with a letter, doing a Facebook ad because I know who they are. So it shows up on their news feed automatically, right? Where they can interact with an artificial intelligence chatbot to have a conversation about their home's value to book an appointment, and then a calling service to actually call those warm leads. Because I know of that 500 person list, 10 are going to list in the next 30 to 60 days. It's a statistical fact. And I'm just trying to figure out what people will pay for that. Because imagine getting 10 listing appointments next month. How does that feel? What's your average sales price?
Depends on how you can convert them.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
assuming everyone here who runs a team, Rosemary, is probably a pretty good converter, right? Are you guys really good at listings? Raise your hand if you're good at listings.
Yes, we're good at
Okay. Okay.
This
Right.
whole
We're all
thing.
good at listings. Otherwise, you would be on this call, right? Yes.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to understand what's the best business model to go back to the agents and go, here it is. I'm going to give you X number of leads a month. Go. And you don't have to do anything, by the way. We're going to do everything for you. We're just going to call you when appointment's booked.
Yeah. So I think the number that I would be willing to pay would come down to how much I believe that your proven method actually is going to get me 10 real seller leads, because there's so many things out there and we get approached so often by all these different things, and a lot of them are BS, right? So
Sure.
if I knew for sure that this is a really great system, I would definitely be willing to pay a good amount of money for it. And I don't know that exact number,
Okay.
but it would really depend. You would have to prove to me that this is a great system that I want to have and that it's going to work, because there's just so much crap out there that people try to sell me
Right.
that I think is crap.
Right. No, I get it. Linda, to answer your question, no, like I don't want to have you guys call through the 500 because I know most people won't. I have an outside service that's going to call through the 500 for you. You know, so it's a 3-step process. One, you send them a letter, multiple letters to see if they're interested. Like I ran a test last week. You'll laugh. My letters went out last week to this first list of 500. One person called me yelling and screaming, I don't want to sell. Take me off your list. Okay, have a nice day. But they called me from the letter. That was cool. Second person called me and said, I don't want to sell. Thanks so much for your letter. And these are handwritten letters written by an outside company that goes to these 500 people. The third person called me and said, yes, I want to sell. And I had my home on the market a year and a half ago for 23 million.
Ah.
That was the third phone call last week. Hi, Stephen, I got your letter. Yes, I'm interested in selling. And by the way, I don't have $23 million buyers in my back pocket. That's not my market, okay? She's like, do you happen to have a buyer in the $23 million range? I almost choked on my water. You know, I was just like, this is great. I sent out 500 letters and the third call was, I might want to move. And I'm looking now. I don't spend time in the $23 million world. So it's not like I'm rushed over for a listing appointment. I kind of wanted to see why she thought her home was worth 23 million. It's valid. It's probably worth at least 15 million, you know? Yeah. So that was worth my time, right, Madeline?
Yeah, no, I totally believe in letters. Actually, Kristen on my team does letters all the time, and we have great success with letters. It's usually specific to neighborhoods with buyers, right. But I totally believe in letters.
Right. No, I agreed. I just don't have time to write 500, so I hired a company to do it for me. So, yeah.
So Steve, you know, if you're talking about basically scrubbing the leads out and handing over appointments, I think that the threshold probably for everybody on this call is they would be willing to pay up to 25%, right?
Right.
Or more, right? Because we have some people in our company who deal with relo, and they're giving over 35%. So you know, I think that's the number. If it's, you know, 500 leads and I have to pay $5,000 and I don't know if I can get 2 appointments out of that, and I have to go through all of that, then I think you're looking at a different thing, because it's all going to relative to the conversion rate.
I don't think anyone's going to sit down and call 500 people. I just don't see that happening, especially through the process. I think you have to hand them 10 or 20 appointments a month and go, these are real of the 500, right? Yeah, no, I agree with you, Rosemary, completely. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Any more questions on the team version, let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And any questions, let Eileen know, and she'll call me and say, Stephen, everything you said doesn't work. We got to fix this right away, and then we'll jump on it. But thank you, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.